Hello YouTube, this is Right On Speedrobo Vasse, and welcome to episode 2 of Vanguard Basics. Today we are going to be talking about check timing. Everything I am going to be talking about today I got straight from the comprehensive rules. So if you have any questions or any doubts about what I'm going to tell you today, here are the sections from the rules. I'm going to post a link to the comprehensive rules in the description. I highly recommend you go and read it after this video because it will help your understanding of the topic we are talking about today. So, what is check timing? Simply put, check timing is how the game handles auto abilities and rule actions. I'm going to be talking more about rule actions in another video. All you really need to know about rule actions today is that they determine winning and losing conditions and any illegal cards that are on the field. So if a card's in a spot it's not supposed to be, the rule action will handle that. So for example, if I call Beaker Holstein over Vocal Chicken, we all know that Vocal Chicken will be retired. That's because of a rule action. But like I said, I'll be talking more about that in my next video. So like I said, check timing is effectively how the game handles auto skills. To better help you digest it and understand it, I have written up this flowchart. And we're going to go through this flowchart together. So it starts at play timing. Now, play timing boils down to the player gets the option to do something. So, for example, if it's the main phase, the player has the option to take cards from their hand, call them to rear guard. That would be a play timing. Now, inside of a play timing, the player effectively has two options. They can choose to do a thing, or they can pass. If they do a thing, a check timing happens. If they pass, the game progresses and normal turn order happens. So for example, in your main phase, if you pass your play timing, the main phase would then move to battle phase, and it would now be your battle phase. I'll probably be talking more about play timing in a later video, but that's the gist of it. That's all you really need to know for today. So, let's say the player chooses to do something. At that point, a check timing would happen. And check timing is divided into two parts. The rule action part, where the game checks the three different parts of rule actions: winning and losing, overloaded units, and illegal guardians. Winning and losing is just, does somebody have 6 damage? Does somebody have 0 cards in their deck? If so, they lose, other person wins. Overloaded units is, if there's more than one unit on a circle, one of those units has to leave. And illegal guardians is, if there are any units on the guardian circle that aren't supposed to be there, those are then put into the drop zone. That's all it is. Like I said, talking more about rule actions in a later video, but that's all you need to know for today. Now, the important part, the really important part that we're going to be talking about today is the second part of check timing, which is the auto abilities section. Now, in check timing, that then checks to see if any auto abilities would activate. So, let's say the player called a TikTok Flamingo. Well, when they call it, there is an auto ability. During your main phase, when this unit's placed on rear guard circle, choose another of your Great Nature rear guards, and that unit gets the following skill until end of turn. So, here's how this would work. During the play timing, the player chooses to call TikTok. Then, it goes into a check timing for rule actions. Has anyone lost? No. Are there any overloaded units? No. Are there any illegal guardians? No. Great. We move on to auto abilities. Then, it checks to see if any auto abilities would activate. Yes, this TikTok Flamingo's auto ability would activate because it was just placed on rearguard circle during the play timing. So this auto ability goes into standby. When an auto ability is in standby, that means it has to be resolved before anything else can happen. Before there's another play timing, before the game can advance, all standby auto abilities must be fully resolved. It's very important. Don't forget that. So this ability is now on standby. Then the player who is the master of the standby ability, that would be you, because you just played TikTok, so you are its master, then chooses one standby auto ability and resolves it. So the only auto ability that's on standby right now is TikTok's. So you have to fully resolve that auto ability, do every single part of its text before you can move on. So let's say you resolve the TikTok Flamingo by giving it to Ruler Chameleon. Alright, that ability is now resolved because all parts of TikTok Flamingo's text were handled. So then we move on to the next part of the flowchart. Are there any standby abilities left? If yes, we go back to the rule action and then go back to auto abilities and resolve another standby auto ability. However, there aren't any other auto abilities on standby right now. So no, that means we go back to play timing. The player gets to choose to do another thing or pass. That is check timing in a nutshell. It might seem a little confusing right now, but read the comprehensive rules, look at the flowchart a couple more times, play some games, pay attention to check timing, and it'll be pretty easy. But the question is, why is this important? This just seems like in the background stuff that's going on in the game that doesn't really affect day-to-day gameplay. Well, yes and no. There are 3 key points that you should take away from check timing that can really help you improve your game and do some cool combos while playing. And those 3 points are as follows. First, you choose the order auto abilities activate in. So, if there are more than one auto ability on standby during any given check timing, you, as the controller of that card, as the master of those cards, get to choose what order those abilities activate in. I'll give an example to that a little bit later. Second key point. You must fully resolve all parts of a skill before anything else can happen, and you must fully resolve all standby auto skills before anything else can happen. I'll get into another example of that a little bit later. The third key point. After every single player action, anytime any player does anything, there is immediately a check timing afterwards. I'll get into another example of that a little bit later. So, our first example is of point 1, you choose the activation order. So, let's say this is your field right now, you're playing Great Nature. So, it's the start of your main phase. To start off, you call TikTok Flamingo. Now check timing happens, any rule actions to resolve, no one's lost, no illegal guardians, no overloaded units. Great, nothing to handle here. Now resolve TikTok's auto ability. I'm going to give the skill auto during your end phase when this unit is put into the drop zone from rear guard. Choose a card from your damage zone, turn it face up. How about we give that skill to Vocal Chicken? TikTok is resolved. Are there any other auto abilities on standby? No. Moving on to another play timing, still the main phase. Counterblasting 1 and resting Telescoping Rabbit to use its activation skill. This needs to be fully resolved before the check timing happens, so let's resolve that. Choose one of your Great Nature rear guards, and that unit gets plus 4,000 power until the end of turn, and at the end of turn, retire it. Let's give that to Vocal Chicken. Check timing. Any rule actions that need to happen, happen. Nothing needs to happen on rule actions. Any auto abilities? Nope. So we're good. Another play timing. This time you choose to call Beaker Holstein, retiring that TikTok underneath it as part of the rule action. Now an auto ability would activate. When this unit is placed on rear guard, choose another of your Great Nature, and that unit gets plus 2,000 until end of turn. So that ability needs to be resolved. How about we give the plus 2,000 to Vocal Chicken again. So Vocal Chicken now has a total of plus 6, and the auto ability that when it is retired during the end phase, you unflip a damage. Excellent. Another play timing. This time choose to pass, move on to the battle phase. So let's say you attack with this column, then there's the whole battle phase. I'll get into that into another video. Let's just say your opponent guards it. Next, attacking with Abacus Bear, doing the twin drive. First check is a grade 3, which means Abacus Bear's auto ability is on standby. Choosing 2 Great Nature rear guards to give plus 4, and then retire them at the end of the turn. Let's give the plus 4 to Beaker Holstein and Ruler Chameleon. Second check is nothing. Next attack is with Beaker Holstein, Ruler Chameleon. Let's just say the opponent guards it again, because the battle phase isn't the important bit. Now we get to the really important bit, the end phase. So, during the end phase, these 3 units would have to retire. So, retire. Then, because something happened, there is a check time. So, any rule actions? No. Any auto abilities that would activate? Not yet. Play timing again. This unit needs to be retired. And this time it is Ruler Chameleon. So, because something happened, there is now a check timing. Any rule actions? No. Any auto abilities? Yes. This auto ability goes into standby. So, auto during your end phase when this unit is put into the drop zone from rear guard. If you have a Great Nature Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 copy of this card, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand. So do that. You just added a Ruler Chameleon to your hand. Now, are there any other auto abilities? No. Play timing. This unit needs to be retired. This time it's Vocal Chicken. So, now that it's retired, there's a check timing. Are there any rule actions? No. Are there any auto abilities that go into standby? Yes. 2 of them. TikTok Flamingo's auto ability that it gave to it, and Vocal Chicken's own auto ability. Auto Counterblast 1 during your end phase when this unit is put into your drop zone from rear guard. If you have a Great Nature Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 card named Melodica Cat, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. So now, there are 2 auto abilities on standby. And as the master of this card and those auto abilities, you get to choose in what order they activate. So, let's activate Vocal Chicken's ability first. Counterblasting 1, searching your deck for Melodica Cat, call it to rear guard. Now, are there any auto abilities still on standby? Yes. Go back to rule action. Are there any rule actions that need to be resolved? No. Go back to auto abilities. Are there any standby auto abilities that need to be resolved? Yes. 1. TikTok Flamingos. So, resolve that. unflip the damage you just counterblasted for Vocal Chicken. Now, are there any other auto abilities on standby? No? Go back to play timing. Are there any other units that need to be retired during the end phase? Is there anything else the player can do? No? So they pass, that means the game progresses, and it's now the opponent's turn. That has been the first point of check timing in a nutshell, choosing the activation orders of auto abilities. As you saw with Vocal Chicken, we could choose what order we wanted those abilities to activate in, allowing us to effectively make Vocal Chicken's skill free, because we got to counterblast first and then unflip that damage. So our next example is going to be about how after every single thing that happens, after every player action, there's immediately a check time. Here's how this works. Let's say you have 2 TikTok flamingos in your hand, and you want to play both of them and give their auto abilities to Melodica Cat. So you do call, call, give ability, give ability. Well, that was an illegal move because of check timing. After everything that happens, there's immediately a check timing. So you called a TikTok, then immediately called a TikTok, bypassing the check timing that would have happened on this one. That means that you chose not to give this TikTok skill to any card. So that means that when you play this, you then can only use this one skill, not this one. But here's how you can still give both TikTok skills to Melodica Cat. Call. There's now a check timing. Go through the rule actions, go through the auto abilities, give this auto ability to Melodica Cat. Then call the next TikTok and do the same thing, giving the ability to Melodica Cat. That is the proper way to do it. That is how you're supposed to do it according to the comprehensive rules. You can't call, then choose to resolve auto abilities. You have to resolve all standby auto abilities immediately after anything happens. So, for our final example, we're going to be using Bermuda Triangle. And this is an example on fully resolving auto skills due to check timing. So, let's say it's the battle phase, and you attack with Velvet Voice Reindeer. So you do your drive check. First check is a grade 3. Since a drive check happened, therefore a check timing follows. Are there any rule actions that need to be resolved? No. Are there any auto abilities that go on to standby? Yes. Reindeer's auto ability goes into standby. Auto Vanguard. Choose one of your Bermuda Triangle rear guards and return it to your hand. When this unit's drive check reveals a grade 3 Bermuda Triangle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 Bermuda Triangle from your hand, call it to an open rearguard circle. So, now that this is on standby, we need to fully resolve it before anything else can happen. Let's choose to return Duo White Crystal Rika to our hand. Then, choose 1 card from your hand, call it to rear. Then, now that that auto ability has been fully resolved, we go back and see if any other auto abilities are on standby. Yes, Rika's auto ability went on to standby. When this unit is returned to your hand from rearguard, if you have a Bermuda Triangle Vanguard, Soul Charge 1, choose a card in your damage zone, turn it face up. So, Soul Charge 1, Counter Charge 1. Now that all of those have been resolved, are there any other auto abilities on standby? Yes, Prism Duo Yvonne's auto ability went into standby. When your other Bermuda Triangle units are returned to your hand from rear, this unit gets plus 3,000 power until end of turn. So, give her the plus 3,000 power. Now, are there any other auto abilities on standby? No. Have all abilities been fully resolved? Yes. Now we continue with the game do her second drive check. Second check is nothing. That was the correct way to do it. So now to show the incorrect way. Attacking, first check is grade 3, using her skill, return Rika to the hand, then using Rika's skill to soul charge and counter charge. And then give her the +3, then choose a card from your hand, call it to rear. Well, that's incorrect because her skill wasn't fully resolved before you did Rika's and Yvonne's. You must fully resolve your the current ability that you're resolving before moving on to other abilities. So the correct way to do it would be return, recall, activate ability, second check. Keep in mind the 3 key points of check timing. You get to choose the order to activate abilities in. You must fully resolve all abilities before moving on, and after every action, there's a check timing. Once again, this has been Speedrobo. Thank you for watching.